Hello, this video lecture is about fall from height and fractures. Here in this video lecture, we are going to discuss about what happens when an individual fall from a height and what are the more common bodily structures which go for a injury. And in later section of video, we are going to see about fractures and what are the types of fracture, what will be the complications relating to each fracture and their medical legal importance. Slide number 2, it is about the factors which influence fall from height. First and foremost factor which determines the maximum injury and other. When there been a more distance or more height, there will be a major fatal injuries. And second which is orientation of the body at the point of impact. Here majority of falls were vertical landing, where it will be the first point of impact, and next being head and other regions of the body. And point number 3, the surface impact. Surface impact. Here, what if the pattern of the surface and the pattern of deceleration, which will determine the energy exchange between both. And point deceleration is when there been a body brought to a quicker rest, then there will be a greater injury. And coming to point 2 in detail, orientation of a body at a point of impact. Most commonly it is of feet, and in other cases and other scenarios where head also be a point of impact of injury. And there are other scenarios where when a person become unconsciousness, and he may fall forward, and here head may be the point of impact, or otherwise there being a extra person, either he pushes him from front, then he sustains injury over on a back impact. And in case of a drunkenness, where individuals stagger for some time, or either they fall forward or onto their side. In case of convulsions, where in state of convulsions there being a fall, then most commonly he sustains an injury on the backwards. It means on the backwards. And the reason behind this due to spasm of muscles of the back region. And this in a sequelae, when there being a fall, if primary impact being the feet, then the weight or the velocity of injury travels from below to upward in direction. And first being point of contact being feet, bones of feet goes for a fracture. Here especially calcaneum and other tarsal bones, metatarsal bones goes for either a comminuted fracture or an open or even closed type of fractures. And followed by there will be a dislocation of ankle, and followed by either an comminuted or an oblique fractures of tibia and fibula are possible. And followed by the transmitted weight or transmitted energy passes through the upper section femur bone, and here the femur can present with a fracture of shaft of a femur or the chondrils or the neck of the femur. And followed by pelvic region or pelvic bone can go for fracture. Here either it can either shatter into pieces, or where even a linear fracture is also possible, after which the energy is transmitted along the vertebral column and spinal cord. Here vertebral column, they may be associated with lacerated type or otherwise a transection of a spinal cord. And here the nerve root spinal cord can go for an injury. And followed by the base of the skull may sustain an injury, where brainstem being the a part can also go for an injury, or otherwise the inferior surface of the brain can go for an injury. Here it is just a probable sequelae. It doesn't mean that if an individual fall from height, he sustains all these pattern of injury. There may be some sparing, where one organ, as discussed, may suffer a minimal injury, and the individual need not to be present with all pattern of or otherwise full range of injuries, whatever has been discussed. In most of the cases, the posture and the orientation of the impact determines the regional predominance of the injury. For example, there may be a scenario where there have been a 2 point of impact. Either uh, just take this scenario as an example, where individual falls and the primary impact area being head and one of the shoulder, right side of the shoulder. Here, the brain or the skull cap will go for a fracture, and followed by right side shoulder will have to receive a maximum injury because it being a primary area of contact where left shoulder being spared. Here, left shoulder may sustain only a abrasion or just a contusion where it will be spared of injuries. Correct? One thing to remember, not always these full range of injuries will be present in every cases that sustains a history of fall. In some cases, where on the point of impact, a body may bounce from the surface on the surface, and it impacts and fall from some distance away from it. So, according to the external object nearby, uh, it may sustain a pattern according to that. And if a surface being relatively harder, or if a surface there been some penetrating object in form of a grill or some sort of a steel objects, so the pattern of injury caused by that object will be predominantly seen rather from the contact from the actual surface. And coming to internal organs, here in internal organs, the deceleration injury more commonly affects the lungs, where lungs can present with the pulmonary hemorrhages and hemothorax are more common, and followed by liver, most commonly injured, and followed by heart, aorta, or other possible structures which can go for an injury, and followed by the great vessels like aorta, even it can go for an transection, and it can causes extensive bleeding. And in case of an primary impact over on a head region, where a blowout fracture can even occur, where there will be explosion of brain and its content on the scene of crime. And for example, if an individual falls on the side of the body, here the individual on the side, on which side he falls, that area, that part of a body will sustain some maximum injury, and relatively the opposite area may be even spared off. And if the individual on that particular side, there may be fractures of multiple ribs, shoulder joint, arms, even contusions, lacerations is also possible. And here again, severe abdominal and thoracic injuries are also possible. Coming to next topic about fractures. Here we are going to discuss about what are the types of fracture and what are their medical significance to a fracture. Slide 7. It is about definition of a fracture. Fracture is a break or otherwise a disruption in the continuity of a bone, or otherwise it is a disruption of the normal architecture of a bone. There been an impact or there been an injury, followed by there been a dislocation, or otherwise there been a disruption of the normal architecture of a bone, and the bone is relatively angulated against the surface. And in etiology, most commonly it is of a traumatic event where individual falls or otherwise there been a injury sustained by a hard, heavy, blunt object, and he sustains a fracture. And fracture occurs when a bone is subjected to a stress greater than it observed. Here, point number 2, it gives an explanation towards a stress fracture. And point number 3, either by a direct blow, crushing forces, sudden twisting motions, and even extreme muscular contraction can also lead to a fracture. For example, if an individual suffers from a osteoporosis or there been a cancerous lesion in the part of a bone where minimal force can even result in a maximum injury on that particular bone. Slide number 9 towards predisposing factors. Out of 4 listed, if an individual being suffering from a known case of a neoplasm, or otherwise a individual in state of a post-menopausal age group, or is being suffering from a protein energy malnutrition, where a minimal force of violence can result in a maximum injury. And point number 4, victims of domestic violence are more prone for getting a fracture because they have been repeatedly sustained a trauma after being a father being a drug addict or otherwise addiction towards any of the products, or a known alcoholic, or child being a as a result of an unhappy married life, or otherwise an unwanted child due to reasons of failure of contraceptives and other. These individuals are more prone to get a fracture. And coming to slide number 10, it could be of a direct force or otherwise an indirect force. Indirect force where it could be a penetrating, first and foremost it is a penetrating fracture. Either a bullet passes through and it shatters the bone on point of impact and it can result with a fracture. And point number 2, towards focal fractures where there been a application of force or a small force which has been applied on a small area and resulting in a transverse fracture. And point 3, a crush fracture where a large force which has been applied on a large area and overlying soft tissue also goes for an extensive injury, and the fracture appears to be comminuted, and it even causes twisting on that region, and even can result in a transverse, oblique, or in a spiral, or otherwise in a segmental fractures is also possible. And slide number 11, it is about indirect fracture. First and foremost, a traction fracture due to a violent contraction of a muscle or otherwise a ligament which has resulted in an injury. First example, a quadriceps muscle goes for a violent contraction where it causes a transverse fracture on a patella. Second example, where a lateral collateral ligament goes for a violent contraction or otherwise a pull, which can cause an avulsion fracture of the fibula bone. Point number 2, towards rotational fracture. Here, bone being twisted and a bone sustains a spiral fracture. And point number 3, towards vertical compression, where an oblique fracture which occurs on a bone as a result of hard shaft of a bone driven into the cancellous end. Here, otherwise a vertical compression or otherwise an impacted fracture, where there has been an overlapping of a shaft of a bone along with it, and it results in a oblique fracture. Same here, where both bones it has driven into its calculus end, and it has resulted in a oblique fracture. And other mechanisms by which a bone can go for a fracture are when there been an angulation force and otherwise and associated with a compression where fracture line will appears to be curved, and if there been an angulation, rotation as well as a compression can cause an oblique type of a fracture. Transverse fracture as discussed, right? In early patella fracture, and here the example or the definition for a transverse fracture is the fracture in which the line of the fracture extends across the bone shaft at a right angle to the longitudinal axis. Right angle to the longitudinal axis, exactly a transverse fracture on a part of a bone. Slide number 13, it is about spiral fracture and or otherwise rotational fracture, where there been a bone has been either broken by a twisting force. Here, the fracture line extends in a spiral direction along the shaft of the bone. There has been a rotational force and bone has gone for a spiral fracture. And most commonly, it is a circumferential fracture. Right? It has gone for a rotational force and bone as you can able to see a spiral fracture here and here. Slide number 14, it is about comminuted fracture, where on point of impact, where bone shatters and it broken into more than two fragments. And if we take a smallest fragment, where it appears to be floating in a X-ray, here a part of a tibia has sustained a fracture, where it has shattered into multiple small fragments. And even fibula is gone, and fibula here it's been only a transverse fracture, and in another view there we can able to see some overlapping of fragments, and here it is not that clear. Slide number 15, a displaced fracture. Force has acted upon and which is caused into displacement of a fracture segment, and when there been a displacement, there could be a feature of overriding of one fragment of a bone over another. And here periosteum is often disrupted on both sides of the bone. Here it could be of two, non-displaced and displaced. Here in this image you can able to see a displaced fracture where fragments have been overriding on the another. And here example, in case of a transverse fracture, there is no any obvious displacement of fractured segment. Slide number 16, it is about green stick fracture, most commonly seen in a pediatric age group, where it is an incomplete fracture, where a bone will show only a partial involvement, where a part of a distance across the bone shaft which will present with only a lateral bending or otherwise a crushing. And slide number 17, it is about intra-articular fracture, where fractures extend onto the articular surface of the bone. And here it been a knee joint, here it been a elbow joint, right, which has involved the articular surface of a bone. And here in case of a knee joint, where fracture lines runs up to the intra-articular surfaces, and another special type where it is termed as an intra-articular fractures. And in case of slide number 18, in case of longitudinal fracture, again it is an incomplete fracture, where fracture line will run along the longitudinal axis of a bone. Right, you can able to see a fracture line, and it runs along the longitudinal plane, where in case where peritoneum may not be torn away from the bone. Slide number 19, again a rotational force can result in a pattern of an oblique fracture, fracture line in the oblique plane or in oblique direction. Slide number 20, it is about hairline fracture, where there been a presence of a thin crack or otherwise a smallest break in a bone, where if you don't do a meticulous examination in part of an X-ray, where these fractures will be gone undetected. And here while ordering in a X-ray, so that is the reason why we order X-rays in different planes. And if RMP doesn't order an X-rays in different planes, where he orders only an AP view of a part of an X-ray, where that part or if there been here in this case there is no any gross deformity. If RMP has ordered only an X-ray view of an AP view, where that plane of X-ray may appears to be normal. If you would have ordered another view of X-ray, either a lateral or an oblique view of an X-ray, there could be a presence of a hairline fracture. So that is the reason why we order X-rays in, we request X-rays in different plane of views. And other fracture is pathological fracture, where individual suffers from a bone tumors or otherwise a metastatic lesion, or he suffers from an infection or any other metabolic disorders like osteoporosis and other, where minimal trauma can result in a fracture. And pathological fractures are just a spontaneous fracture from the history. The person gives there been a mild trauma, and but when you take an X-ray, due to the instability of a bone, where minimum force has resulted in a maximum severe injury on that particular point of impact. Slide number 21. It is about these four listed topics. First and foremost, it is about complete fracture, where bony fragments are completely separated from each other. Right? Take this as an example. There is no any communication between the fractured bony fragments. And in incomplete fracture, there have been a partially joint. Right? Example, when you talk about green stick fracture, hairline fracture, and other. And 0.3 towards closed fracture and 0.4 towards open fracture. On this image, it is an example for a closed fracture, where a fracture present and skin on the surface remains intact. There is no any communication with the surrounding surface. And if it would be in a case of an open fracture, skin is not intact, bony fragments which has caused a maximum angulation or maximum dislocation, and there have been abnormal communication. Here, when you compare open to a closed fracture, here there are chances of getting more infection. And here, in case when you get a case of an open fracture, as a duty of an RMP, we need to do a proper wound cleaning, and followed by prophylactic antibiotics to be given, and followed by tetanus prophylaxis also to be given. Pathophysiology of a fracture. First and foremost, if there been a disruption of a muscle attached to the bone, from the previous slide, there been a violent contraction of a quadriceps muscles, and which has resulted in a transverse fracture of a patella, where muscles after the disruption, it goes for a state of a spasm, followed by it tends to pull the fracture segment out of the position, and it makes a complete fracture, where there been a no connect between a fracture fragment, and followed by it goes for a disruption of the periosteum and as well as the blood vessels. And if the blood vessels go for a disruption, there will be an extensive bleed within the surface. And as the bleeding continues, either from the soft tissue or from the damaged end of the bone, where which is like vasodilatation, edema, pain, and according to the body part involved, it goes for a loss of function, extraction of a plasma, leukocytosis, or also a possible sequelae or otherwise aftermath of this fracture. And extreme pain will be present. And from the previous slide, and even the skin goes for a trauma, and it becomes an open fracture. There will be invention of infection, because there will be a communication between the surrounding and the fracture site. Clinical manifestations of a fracture. Individual suffers from a pain, loss of function, deformity, shortening of limb, crepitus, where immobility, which has resulted in an abnormal cracking sound, and it is crepitus, swelling and discoloration of the skin over the fractured site. Muscle spasm will be present, and tenderness will be present. As an RMP, when you have been posted in casualty department as an RMP, our duties are first and foremost thing, immobilization of the fracture site. For example, if a right lower limb has gone for a fracture, the right lower limb to be immobilized, and and if there been a need where individual to be shifted to a radiological department for an X-ray and other, where a wheelchair to be provided, followed by attendants to be there nearby, and he should be shifted. And if it been an extreme degree of fracture where there been a LOC or there been associated head trauma and other associated injuries are present, appropriate treatment to be given here, LOC to be assessed, or there been only a fracture present where intravenous lines assessed to be created, and if it been case of an open fracture where there been associated exposure of a fracture site outside, uh, probable chance of infection is more higher when you compare to closed fracture. So as a duty, a prophylactic antibiotics can be given, and tetanus immunization also can be given, and followed by routine investigations, ECG, chest X-rays can be ordered, and after even prior to that, a orthopedic consultation or an orthopedic assistant to be informed regarding this case on his arrival. When these are being ready, and the appropriate management can be given. If it been a case of a hairline fracture, just an splittering is sufficient, and if it been a gross deformity present, or there been a extreme angulation or extreme rotation of a fracture being present, treatment in form of closed reduction, open reduction, or fixing with a screw, plate, etc. can be done. And here our role is first and foremost ordering an X-ray, providing analgesics, and if there been a presence of an open fracture, prescribing prophylactic antibiotics, and a tetanus prophylaxis also to be given. And X-ray, ordering X-ray is more vital, and individual on verge of dying right after sustaining an extreme fracture or any associated severe injuries present, DAL to be obtained, and the condition need to be explained to the legal heirs or the attenders who has brought the individual, and on the verge of dying declaration to be obtained, and it being a case of a medical legal case and part of a duty where legal duties also we need to give care by filling AR copies and informing the concerned police stations, and these are primary duty. Alright. Again, most important thing, medical treatment comes first, then the legal responsibility of a registered medical practitioner. Right. Legal responsibility is always second. Treating the individual and saving his life is our primary duty. And coming to other complications of a fracture like shock can occur, crush syndrome, extensive hemorrhage, which will result in hypovolemic state, collapse and death, and fat embolism is also possible. Right, just a mere word has been discussed in other upcoming videos. We can describe what is fat embolism and other. In chance of more infection, venous thrombosis can occur, and associated with pulmonary embolism is also possible. And these are the complications of the fracture. And in medical legal importance towards a fracture, according to section number 320 IPC, fracture, dislocation of a joint or on a bone or otherwise a teeth constitute a grievous injury, and a copy to be filled, and it is a case of a medical legal case, remember. And these are up to the managing a fracture on a living individual and other. Alright, our concern is on autopsy. On autopsy, how to suspect a fracture. Alright, individual has been brought dead to casualty. Alright, nothing has been done. Where an AR copy has been filled and followed by the deceased has been handed over for an autopsy surgeon for a complete medical legal autopsy, and how to suspect and how to detect, and how to differentiate whether it is of an antemortem or an postmortem fracture. Here our duty is first and foremost how to suspect, right? And as a part of an examination, as a part of estimating rigor mortis, right, where we flex and extend the part of limbs for estimating rigor mortis. And most commonly, the extremities would have gone for a fracture, right? And where there been an abnormal mobility, or you can hear a sound of a crepitus, in those cases, you can make sure there been a fracture, or there been a extreme discoloration over the point of area where color change shows either in a dark red or even blacker according to the state of time between a fracture and between examination, or otherwise an extensive swelling, or otherwise an abnormal swelling present in any part of a body which you suspect could be a case of a fracture. And in tissue dissection, right, dissection of a suspected part for more detailing, right. Example, take it as a part of a right limb, right, part of a right limb where a forearm shows extensive abnormality on mobility, or otherwise there has been an extreme degree of swelling present associated with discoloration of a skin present, right. A incision made on that suspected site followed by dissection of the underneath structures, and if there has been a fracture present, you can able to see abnormal dislocated parts of the bony fragments present, and associated underlying structures also to be dissected. And if a fracture has been presented, tissue also should have gone for an injury, and it can present as a contusion, and the presentation will be extravasation of blood within the surface layers. And in our role, whether fracture has occurred before the death, or it been a post-mortem fracture. Othermost, point number 3, right, as a duty of an RMP. And if a fracture has occurred just a few hours prior to death, or just immediately after death, where we can able to differentiate whether it is an antemortem or an perimortem fracture. And when it being an antemortem fracture, there will be presence of edema, active cellular infiltration will be present into adjacent tissues, and the fracture sites edges will show active infiltration of these cellular fragments. And in case of there will be extensive hemorrhage will be present, and extensive skin change, those will be present in case of an antemortem fracture. But these all will be absent in a postmortem fracture, where bone fragment would have gone for a fracture, and most commonly undertaking fracture or an undertaker fracture, or extremities of bone while rough handling of a body may show a fracture, but there won't be any skin change present, or there won't be any extensive swelling present. And on dissection of that suspected site, where you don't see any extravasation of blood, then you can make a diagnosis with as a postmortem fracture and nothing to do with the deceased. And in practical uh, in real time, where a fracture of a femur, where there could be a loss of 1 to 3 liters of blood, and a closed fracture of a femur can result in 2 liters of blood, loss of 2 liters of blood, or any lower extremity, half a liter to 1 liter of blood loss, or dislocation of an ankle can result in a half liter to 1 liter of blood loss. So that concludes this presentation, and summary of this slide again: when to suspect, and the detailing dissection of the suspected site, and differentiating between antemortem and postmortem fracture. And when to suspect, there have been extensive swelling present, abnormal mobility present, or there have been a gross discoloration of a skin present. And then next procedure is dissecting the suspected site and looking for an associated injuries along the soft tissue plane, and the third is to differentiate whether it is of a antemortem in nature or otherwise postmortem in nature. And slide, it is about a case scenario has been provided, and try to find the diagnosis and help the RMP to arrive at a diagnosis, and elaborate on the aftermath of the diagnosis and its medico-legal importance. Here, the presentation of the case is a patient has received an RMP. On examination, patient appears dull, apathy, Thank you so much for your patient listening. If there been any doubt query relating to the content provided in this video, either you can address your queries in the comment section below, or otherwise you can address the queries in the social media links provided in the description section. Thank you.